Welcome to Football Game Plan's FCS Kickoff, presented by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Mike McCarthy is producer behind the boards, and it's week 0, which means we're about to kick off the FCS season. And what a game we have to kick things off between the North Carolina A&T Aggies and the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. There's a lot of talent across this great country of ours, and what a way to kick off the FCS 2018 season by unveiling our 2018 preseason FCS All-Americans.
I think we've put together a very good squad here with our preseason FCS All-American team, and we'll take a look at the offensive side of the ball first. The quarterback selection was a no-brainer to me, as North Dakota State's Easton Stick leads this offense after coming off of a national championship season, his first championship, as the full-time starter for the Bison. He'll have a great set of options in the passing game with Keelan Doss of UC Davis, Neil O'Connor out of New Hampshire, tight end Donald Parham out of Stetson, and 2 Sam Houston State Bearcats and Nathan Stewart and Davion Davis. Running back Ryan Foles of Wagner and fullback Joe Prothero are 2 parts of a 3-headed monster in the backfield. The third part being running back Dominic Bragalone of Lehigh. The 5'11", 230-pound tailback has posted 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons, averaging a consistent 5.6 yards a carry and finding the end zone 39 times in his career. The South Williamsport, Pennsylvania native will look to go out with a bang, as he'll look to help his Mountain Hawks make a deep run into the playoffs. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, and what a secondary that we have here, led by Jacksonville State's Marlon Bridges. Now, Bridges was a 3-time All-American and was a finalist for the Buck Buchanan Award last year, which is given to the top defensive player in the FCS. He is joined by Delaware's Nasir Adderley, JMU's Rashad Robinson, and North Dakota State's Robbie Grimsley. Kennesaw State's Bryson Armstrong was nothing short of sensational last season for the Owls and a key part to their magical season. The 5'11", 212-pound sophomore won the Jerry Rice Award last year, which is given to the nation's top freshman in the FCS. He co-led the nation in fumble recoveries with 4, had 11 solo sacks, and tied a Big South Conference record with 85 solo stops and 12.5 TFLs. He definitely filled up the stat sheet last season for Kennesaw State, and those are not just some hollow numbers. His play on the field popped out at you just like these numbers do. And wrapping up our preseason All-American team with the specialist punter Alex Petchin of Bucknell averaged 45.1 yards a punt, forcing 22 fair catches and downing 34 inside the 20-yard line. He was a legit defensive weapon for the Bison. Southeastern Louisiana's Jawan Petit-Ferreri would have taken his chances and returned one of Petchin's kicks, as he was just flat out phenomenal last season for the Lions. The 5'7", 170-pound junior out of Orlando, Florida, averaged 34.6 yards a kickoff return, bringing 2 back for touchdowns. That average was the 2nd highest kickoff return average in Southland Conference history. He also had a 99-yard kickoff return against Incarnate Word that helped spearhead a 49-30 victory over the Cardinals.
We know how much everyone loves lists, and what a list that we have compiled here as we give you our 2018 preseason FCS Top 25.
In my opinion, there are no real surprises here on this list. However, some may look at McNeese State with a bit of a raised eyebrow, but to me, the Cowboys have everything that you want in a top 5 team. They're good on both ends of offense, one of the better defenses in the FCS, and they are entering a season with a huge chip on their shoulder after missing the playoffs with a 9-2 record. I think they're one of the more well-balanced teams in the nation and should be right in the mix for the title in the end. As we look at 6 through 10, South Dakota State should be an interesting team to watch this year. We'll see how quarterback Taron Christian will perform now that both wide receiver Jake Windeke and tight end Dallas Goddard are off to the NFL. The 2 CAA teams here may give some folks a cause for pause, but I think folks are sleeping on both Villanova and Richmond this year. The Wildcats suffered a ton of injuries last season and are now fully healthy and look like a serious contender in the conference. The Spiders are replacing an NFL quarterback in Kyle Lauletta with a quarterback in Kevin Johnson, who has playoff game experience, going 2-1 during his stretch 2 years ago for the Spiders. Also, Richmond has a great set of receivers and should be solid once again on the defensive side of the ball. I absolutely love teams 11 through 15. Sorry about the typo, but at number 11, it should say Eastern Washington, as Northern Arizona is ranked 16th on our list. So number 11 is Eastern Washington. But these are some strong football programs with some excellent coaching. You want to talk about a team that's pissed off entering the season. Austin Peay may rival McNeese State for that crown. The Governors were left out of the playoff party last year despite an impressive 8-4 record, 7-1 in conference play. Austin Peay returns 4 starters along the offensive line and has a defense that features one of the best players in the country in edge rusher Jason Williams. Head coach Will Healy will have this team focused and ready to right some wrongs this upcoming season. Teams 16 through 20 have 2 SoCon squads on this list in Wofford and Sanford. And I also feel as though the Yale Bulldogs are a very good football team. Head coach Tony Reno has an impressive quarterback running back tandem in quarterback Kurt Rawlings and running back Zane Dudick. What will be interesting this year to watch will be how will the offense look now that former offensive coordinator Joe Conlon is now the new head coach for the Fordham Rams. And rounding out our top 25 with teams 21 through 25, and in my honest opinion, the Monmouth Hawks are a team that many are sleeping on. To me, they are built like a CAA team in the trenches along the offensive line led by Zach Wetzel, and they have some terrific skill players like wide receiver Reggie White Jr., tight end Jake Powell, and quarterback Kenji Bahar. This team has to replace Mike Basile at safety, but with corners like Tamir Berry, who was voted team captain, these Hawks shouldn't miss a beat defensively. I also feel like Bryant and South Dakota are also being overlooked. We've talked about it last year how head coach James Perry has done a great job with the Bulldogs, and they have a lot of starters returning. You combine that with them being in the second year of his system, and things will get interesting in Smithfield, Rhode Island. And I also believe a lot of people are writing off the Coyotes because of the graduation of Chris Streveler, the outstanding quarterback who's now in the CFL with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But don't sleep on Austin Simmons, who saw some time last season. He's just as talented as Streveler and should make this transition very smooth on offense. Plus, the Coyotes will be even better than they were on defense last year as 9 starters return on the unit. That really was pretty good last season also. Now here's a look at some of the teams that just missed the top 25, but will definitely find their way there before it's all said and done. It looks to be another fine year once again in the FCS, and I can't wait for this season to finally get kicked off. One team to keep an eye on that I want to bring up is the Wagner Seahawks. I think Coach Hotaling has done a great job in accumulating talent on that Seahawks roster. Keep an eye on them in the Northeast Conference and in the FCS as a whole.
I think the FCS gives a student athlete a chance to really develop in the classroom and on the field. And I don't think there's anything that gets in the way of the development of the student athlete. You know, whereas in sometimes other conferences, other levels of play, I think there's some things that could sway a student athlete in a wrong direction here or there. But I think at the FCS level, I think it's all about the student athlete. I think it's all about his development in the classroom and also on the playing field. And it really it keeps your values and your goals right in front of you. And I think there's less things that are going to take you away from those things.
All right, let's preview the 3 games this week on the schedule, and we'll start up in Amherst as the Duquesne Dukes take on the UMass Minutemen. We will get treated to 2 excellent tailbacks in this game as the Dukes' A.J. Hines kicks off his Walter Payton Award campaign against Marquise Young of UMass, who has the ability to hit the home run from anywhere on the field. The Dukes will be able to compete on the perimeter with Florida Atlantic transfer Daniel Parr tossing the football to all-conference receiver Nahari Crawford. Defensively, the secondary matches up well with the Minutemen in their passing game. This game will come down to the offensive line of Duquesne and can they get movement up front consistently against UMass. That'll be the key determinant on who wins this game and who doesn't. I'll be at this game this weekend giving you guys updates from my Twitter account, so make sure you follow me at FBall Gameplan. And what an interesting matchup we have down in Houston, Texas, as Prairie View takes on Rice. New head coach Eric Dooley takes his Panthers into Rice Stadium to face another new head coach in Mike Bloomgren. However, there's a unique storyline here as Rice offensive coordinator Jerry Mack was the head coach last year at North Carolina Central and is very familiar with Eric Dooley's offense, having faced Grambling in the 2016 Celebration Bowl. This game will be a lot closer than many people will think. I also believe that it will be in store for a high-scoring affair as both teams bring an element of the unknown into this ball game. It should be an entertaining one this weekend to watch. And finally, the biggest game of this weekend is between the North Carolina A&T Aggies and the Jacksonville State Gamecocks in the Guardian Credit Union FCS Kickoff. To be completely honest, these two teams are evenly matched, where the Aggies have the advantages in the passing game of quarterback Lamar Raynard, throwing the ball to wide receiver Elijah Bell. Those who are amongst the best in the FCS at their respective position. Also, don't sleep on the Aggies' ground game with running back Marquell Cartwright. He's a Devonta Freeman clone who plays for the Atlanta Falcons. The Gamecocks have built a bully along both sides of the line of scrimmage, and they don't just rebuild there, they reload. The question is at quarterback. Who will be the guy for this ball game? We may even see both quarterbacks for the Gamecocks, so who knows? I think Clemson transfer Zarek Cooper gives them a player that matches up well with the Aggies' Raynard in the passing department. So it'll come down to the play at the line of scrimmage, and I can see the Gamecocks eking one out in a tight victory over the upset-minded North Carolina A&T Aggies.
So that's it for this week's episode of the FCS Kickoff. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media accounts, and be sure to check out and subscribe on iTunes to the Football Game Plan's FCS Opening Drive podcast, where David Hashagen and myself will keep you up to date to what's going on around the FCS.